attention to see what others cannot. The monsters of today will be the heroes of tomorrow. And by my hand will Noxus rise once more.
All right, getting into tip number 1 that you probably do not know on Swain. The first thing that you should understand when playing Swain is his E and how it has a blooming effect when you land with the E detonation with Swain. As you can see here, the E should in no way ever root this third target dummy. We're going to throw it out, and it is going to proc that on root on that third target dummy because it has a explosion and detonation range that makes it extremely deadly in team fights where enemy champions that might be the backline, the squishies that do not think they're in range of your E, they can get clipped with the E explosion. So utilizing this in team fights is a absolutely insane way of looking for those all important picks when playing with Swain. And that will wrap up tip number 1. All right, getting into the second thing you might have not known about Swain, and that is his optimal E range when playing Swain. This is going to help you land more roots when you are playing him. This is about the range that you want to be looking for on the enemy targets because they are closest to the bounce back point, similar to how Sivir Q works and how you can get off 2 quick instances of damage on targets that are at about this range when the Q is right about to pass back. This is when you want to be throwing out the E on the enemy champion. For example, if you were a lot closer to him, it is going to give him a lot more time as the E is bouncing back on the target before it is rooting the enemy champion. So keep this in mind, particularly when you are laning, to utilize the first tip that we talked about and how there is a bloom on the explosions. You can detonate it on minions and extend the range of the E on the enemy targets in the area, as well as making sure that they are in this optimal E range where you can get the bounce back extremely quickly on the enemy and looking for those very, very strong picks. And that will wrap up tip number 2 with Swain. All right, and getting into tip number 3, we're going to be talking about the optimal combo with Swain. If you have ever played World of Warcraft, you know that you should never be overriding your CCs. This is just a terrible way to play out PvP situations. How we look to apply this rule to League of Legends is by making sure that the W is hitting them with the slow right after the root duration is completed, combining for a optimal amount of CC, totaling in 4 seconds of CC, 2.5 seconds of slow from your W, and 1.5 seconds of being rooted from your E. And then obviously you can combine the pull coming out of your passive. So the combo is going to look something like this. You want to be in the optimum range to land the most E's about right here. We're going to throw out the E. We're going to wait a little bit when it's rooted, throw out your W, and then pull them into the W. And then obviously we can be walking a little bit closer in that combo to land a really close-up Q. If you did not know, when you are closer to the target, you are going to be hitting them with a lot more bolts. But the most important thing for you guys to understand is that you are not doing a combo that looks something like this, where you're doing your E into the slow and you are just really getting no CC time out of that at all compared to the optimal combo that I showed you at first. And that will wrap up tip number 3. Okay, getting into tip number 4, this one's going to be a little bit harder to pull off, but as you get a little bit more experience with Swain, you will get very used to the timers, and that's your ability to pull a target that is just being knocked up and displaced by the terrain. As you can see here, we're going to put a target dummy on the blast cone. They are going to be blast coning over, and we're going to be pulling them back. If you did not know, this is a very, very effective way of stopping people from getting away, and particularly on Inferno maps where there are a lot of these blast cones, it is just going to be a great way. Now, there are a couple different areas that there are displacements. First of all, we have the blast cone. Second of all, we have the dragon. Once the dragon is proc, they're knocked back and you can pull them. Next up, there is the Baron, where there is a displacement on the knockup that the Baron does. We just need to wait for him to do his knockup. Come on, do your knockup. It's not that. It's going to have a little bit of a circle that is going to be popping up on the enemy target. Okay, there we go. And you can pull the target off of that. And finally, if you have a Rift Herald on the map and a champion is standing right close to a tower where the Rift Herald is charging, they are displaced, and you again are able to pull the target. So look for these different situations with Swain, and you're going to catch people off guard with a nice bit of CC and a good amount of damage, and applying all of your on-hit effects on the enemy target when you get these pulls off. And that will wrap up tip number 4. All right, and getting into tip number 5, we're going to be covering a couple of different small micro things that can really up your game and overall win percentage. So the first thing I want you guys to understand is you can throw out your E and you can look to flash and redirect where your E is hitting. This is particularly important in later game team fights where hitting a pick on an enemy champion will just turn the extreme tides of battle if you land this on something like a Jinx and pull them towards your team. This is also extremely effective in a laning phase, but however, I do not recommend using your flash pre-dragon or baron fights. This is just going to be a very all-in measure that you should look to be utilizing with Swain in really important key moments. Now, if you did not know, when you are playing Swain and you are using Rylai's, maybe you're going second or third item, you continuously apply the Font of Life rune to the target. If you did not know, there is no cooldown on this, and you can provide a crap ton of healing for your allies if you are continuously applying this Font of Life rune to the enemy targets, particularly if you have a decent HP build as it scales off of HP. Okay, and the next thing that I wanted to talk about is your W usage and how you can use it to land more Ws. Now, on a stationary target that you do not know where they're going to move, it is always best to put them in about the middle of the target. This is great for people that are looking to back. They generally are not looking for this W, and they will realize too late that you're throwing a W on a backing target. This is a great way to delay backs and put enemies in uncomfortable positions. Next up, how you want to be using your W in other ways is, even in the lower ranks of your W, all you have to do is walk up to about this area and you are going to be providing W's to your ally in the mid lane. This is going to be extremely important for heavily snowballing matchups in the team comp. Say you have a Talon versus a Zed, being able to zone a Talon off from a very long range away while he's trying to get away from the Zed can be absolutely invaluable. And how you want to wait where you're placing your W in these different situations, if the target is a little bit if he's trying to run away and you have an ally following up, you use it as a zoning tool. You want to make sure that your W is leading him quite heavily into the way that you think that he is going to be roaming. Next up, using your W as a zoning tool for the target in bot lane can be an effective way to land more E's if you are struggling hitting E's on a target. If a W is behind them, they most likely will not be running back into them, and they will be running in a direction that is going to be very obvious, and making sure that you are going to land your E a lot more commonly when you are playing Swain. The final thing that I want to talk about with Swain in team fights is waiting for enemy champions to be committing is going to increase the overall effectiveness of how many targets you're going to be hitting with your vision of the Empire. They are a lot less likely to be dodging your W after the game has been engaged and they are meleeing your champions and the fight has started. So waiting to hold on to your W and not trying to use it like right before the team fight starts is going to be an effective way to hit a lot of targets. This is extremely important too when there is a lot of enemy melee champions that are going to stack up on a particular target, and it's going to be a great way to get a whole bunch of damage coming out of your vision of the Empire. That's going to wrap up my video, guys. If you have any questions for me, and more importantly, if you have any weird Swain tips, I would love to hear your thoughts down below, and that will wrap up my video. You guys have a great day.
No luck in your promo games? Not even one pentakill? Did your teammate rage quit? Feed the enemy team? Just jump over to turbosmurfs.gg and do like the pros, buy a fresh level 30 account. We offer high quality accounts and service that reflects in our 5 out of 5 star rating on Trustpilot. Not only that, but we also offer lifetime warranty on all our accounts and a daily loot box where you can win a free account. Link in the description.